Hello, my name is Sammy Bradar, Associate Group Editor for the National Provisioner. I'm here today with Bryan Freeman, Executive Chairman of Real Good Foods. Bryan, thank you so much for sitting down to chat with me today about your company's entrance into the meatball category with your new chicken meatball innovation.
You bet. Thanks for having me on, Sammy. Hope I can be of help to your audience today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Bryan, just to kick off our chat today, can you talk me through what inspired Real Good Foods to break into the meatball category?
Yeah, it's no different than all the other items we've done. Our inspiration comes from our community. And, what I mean by that is at Real Good Foods, we have one of the largest social media following in all of frozen food. And so um, what that really means is there are thousands and thousands of conversations going on weekly, or two-way conversations with the folks that interact with our brand and care about what we're doing. And so that's really where the idea of meatballs came from. And so when you hear it enough that, hey, we would love a meatball that fulfills the RGF, what we stand for, it activates our team and we start working on the project.
Definitely, definitely. That makes sense. Bryan, can you walk us through just a little bit of the development process behind this new innovation and what makes them stand out from other options that might be in the marketplace already?
Yeah, for sure. So Real Good Food stands for three things. One is very high in protein, the absence of unnecessary sugar and carbohydrates, and third, just having a really simple, easy to understand ingredient statement. Our goal is for the ingredients that we use to be in our community's pantry or refrigerator already. If we can do those three things and make a really delicious, craveable item, we're going to please our community and we're going to win. And in so doing, in the case of meatballs, we really looked at it and said, there's an opportunity here to remove things like seed oils, remove, frankly, the science that goes into typical meat blocks and deliver a delicious product that's higher in protein and lower in carbohydrates. And what's really interesting about our process and how we go about doing it that might be a little bit different from other companies is from the very beginning, we're running NLEAs and NFPs to make sure that what we're developing on the bench meets our brand guidelines, because we know ultimately that's going to please our consumer and our users that shop Real Good Foods. The second thing that I find unique about Real Good Foods is as we go into these new categories that we choose to participate in, we don't see a lot of brand interaction with the folks that are already on shelf. And look, like many of your, probably most of the people in your audience, we've been in the food business for decades. In the case of Real Good Foods, I've never seen this before, where when we come into a category, we will not impact velocities of the folks next to us in a meaningful way. I've never seen that before in my career. And I've been outside of protein as well. I've been in the snack category, obviously refrigerated foods, and frozen for a long time. I've never seen that. And so what that tells me is we're bringing new users to the door. And when you do that, that gets retailers really excited because you're helping them grow their category. And that usually leads to being rewarded with incremental distribution and opportunities to go into new categories. So in the case of meatballs, we saw very little brand interaction in our breaded poultry business with, folks that are in the breaded poultry side. And so that really opened the door for us to take what was inspired by our community, bring it to life in an exciting way, and then ultimately get on shelf with retailers.
That's great. That's amazing. That's amazing. And obviously, this is reflecting a broad shift in consumer shopping habits. So, can you expound on that a little bit, Bryan? How does this innovation reflect changing consumer shopping behaviors and demands for their food products in general?
I'm not sure that there's really been a consumer shift. And by that, I mean, you can go back more than a decade and look at MPD, and it'll tell you that consumers want more protein and less sugar. So what's really changed, in my view, is the knowledge base that consumers now have. And by that, I mean, with access to social media and all the documentaries and everything that's streaming online now, the the mainstream consumer now understands several lies that have been told to them over the last few decades. Frankly, starting back in the 1950s or 60s, where we were told, if you were alive back then, we were told a calorie is a calorie. Okay, so 200 calories of beef is the same as 200 calories of sugar. And we know that that doesn't make any sense now. We were told that you need a lot of grains in your diet. Remember the pyramid. And that would lead to a lower fat diet, and that would lead to better heart disease. Well, everybody understands now that there's no correlation to that. And in fact, you see the nutrition pyramid being inverted. And so consumers are much more engaged, they're much more aware, and they're looking at ingredient statements, they're looking at macros. And so what does that mean for a brand like Real Good Foods? You know, we are a purpose-built brand to deliver on those three pillars, and that really translates to performance. A performance-based brand in food, in my opinion, really relates to what does the food do to your body, as opposed to a promise, which is, we're trying to solve something else. So, in the case of Real Good Foods, I think that's why we're winning. Our macros are right on front of the package, so it's clear communication. Internally, we call that keeping it real. We want to be really clear with within the company and everything we do on the outside as well. So in terms of consumer behaviors, I think it's just really more about their knowledge base. And so that's why they're seeking foods and brands like Real Good Foods.
That's fascinating, because a lot of the time through discourse in the industry, we hear that it's just a recent development that, especially driven by GLP-1s, that consumers are just now seeking out these nutrition forward, health conscious food products. But I can definitely totally see what you're saying, that it's always been there, but people thought they were doing what was best for them. So now that they have the information in front of them, they can make the best informed decision.
That's right. And look, I mean, GLP-1 is an accelerator for sure. We've looked at data that shows what happens coming off of GLP-1. And what you see very clearly is increased consumption of protein, and specifically poultry is where they lean towards even after they come off of the treatment from GLP-1s.
Definitely. It's a good signal for the food industry for sure, for the meat category.
100%.
Yeah. Looking ahead, how do you see this line of meatballs evolving, whether through new flavors or formats? Obviously, it's a new innovation, so this is a very forward-looking question.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're going to have a lot of fun with it. I mean, obviously, that form factor, we can deliver all sorts of different flavors and experiences through it. We have already developed a pretty comprehensive library, so more to come there on regional, global, inspired flavor deliveries on the item. But what we found was interesting, and going back to Real Good Foods' large community. And one of the things that we deploy as we develop products is we have, explained that we have a large community. From there, we funnel down to what others would call super fans. We call it our VIP group of about 15,000 people that are really engaged with the brand. And then from there, we funnel down to about 100, 150 folks that are part of RGF Labs. Now, these folks are handpicked and selected based on their own individual need states that represent 6 verticals that we market to based on need state. And from there, we take our prototyping and our bench samples and we send the food out to them. And so they don't really realize it, but they're really filling out iHuts for us. And that's where new flavors, new form factors really get refined. And we really listen to those folks. And that just gives us more confidence so that once we do come on shelf, or if we're in front of a retailer asking for space, we have the data and the experience and the knowledge to know prior to coming on shelf that there'll be demand for that item.
Definitely. That's great. And Bryan, this is actually the last question I have for you today, but do you have any additional insights or comments outside of the scope of these interview questions that you'd like to share with the National Provisioner audience today?
I think it's a great time to be in protein. And what I'm thinking a lot about, and what I don't know if I'd say I worry about it, but as people understand the importance of nutrient dense food in their diet, I worry that there will come a day where there's a dispersion between those that can afford it and those that cannot. And so, what I'm proud of being part of this industry is when you think about what we can deliver in terms of poultry or high nutrition, nutrient dense items at such an affordable rate. I'm pretty proud of it. I mean, our country versus going outside of the U.S., what you can buy or what you pay for a pound of, say, raw chicken breast here is remarkable. And I just think that your audience probably contributes in their own way to get that done. And I just think that there's honor in delivering nutrition at an affordable price. And that's why I'm so optimistic about the industry long term. And I feel like we're in the right spot at the right time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Making nutritional benefits accessible for everyone as it should be.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, Bryan, thank you so much for joining me today for this wonderful conversation. I'm sure that our audience will truly benefit from these insights. So thank you again for sitting down with me.
Thanks for the time, Sammy.
Absolutely. Again, I'm Sammy Bradar for the National Provisioner here today with Bryan Freeman, Executive Chairman of Real Good Foods. Thanks for watching.